amazing. Battling for height against Zate, two of the best players in the world. Zate coming second last game. He might be able to close this out. You have to assume with Luda's team going down that his team will jump instantly if he keeps closing this out. Fresh trying to break the builds down as Zate tries to get down.
Look what he has in his pocket though, as you said. It's a blue RPG trying to break the build. Smart decision not to try and force the build battle there. He can use this rock to his advantage right now.
He's going for the flopper play. He's got the fish, so he's waiting late here. Zate's on the side. He's going to knock it out. Zate didn't think there'd be anyone behind him because Fresh has these fish. So right now, Fresh is taking a large amount of storm damage, but he has those orange fish that he can use for 50 health back within half a second. Symmetrical now battling the NA Pro as well. Zate goes down. Our current team in second. Fresh is on the high ground. We see Symmetrical down there as well. Elevate, Twisty. They're going for right now 3 teams alive, 5 players.
And such a heads-up play for Mr. Fresh Asian, waiting for Zate and taking high ground back. That was 1,000 IQ from Mr. Fresh Asian, who completely flipped this round on its head and regained control to win this game. Mr. Fresh Asian is playing near perfect Fortnite right now. And guess what? We got Symmetrical versus Mr. Fresh Asian in 1 versus 1. It's good old-fashioned.
It's OC versus NA right now. Fresh can close this one out. He was so modest earlier today that he doesn't think he can stack up against these international pros, and I think he can. It's a 1v1. Symmetrical looking up, and Fresh closes it out. The victor of last year's Pro-Am coming out on top today. 23 points total. They come back in game 2.
Can you believe?
Total, they come back in game 2.
Can you believe what we just saw? An epic game number 2 and an epic finish from Mr. Fresh Asian, who just played so well, not only as an individual and the shots he was hitting, but also the intelligence to go back into the storm, recognizing he has some fish to consume for instant health, waiting for Zate to push one by one with floors, taking out Zate, who's his biggest threat, regaining high ground, and then connecting for the beautifully paced RPG on Symmetrical from CLG to win it all. Mr. Fresh Asian does it, and he does it again at the Pro-Am here at the Australian Open.
It's absolutely incredible. Again, he said he couldn't do it, but he just did it. He stacked up against the international pros, the best of the best. Maybe a bit of foreshadowing for tomorrow, the Solas event, but right now, Fresh's team is back in contention. They were looking really good, and then it went really bad, and then Fresh just pulled it straight back. He is a phenomenal player.
Yeah, you heard the crowd react when Mr. Fresh Asian, what popped off right there. How about Mr. Fresh Asian with the huge game 2? Give it up for him as he does it yet again. If you're from North America or Europe and might not know who Mr. Fresh Asian is, I don't know how. He won the Pro-Am last year, one of the top players and streamers, entertainers here in the Australia, New Zealand region. Also just a phenomenal individual player, entertainer, great following on YouTube, and a great showing right there. But I gotta say, game 2 is amazing. We have so much to talk about. Rather than us doing it, let's go ahead and throw it back to the main stage. We have Ben and Pookie.
Oh man, Mr. Fresh Asian coming back at it. He started off slow. His team went down, Pookie, but in the end, he brought it back. Last year's Pro-Am champion very much has his team in the competition today.
He certainly does, and he's showing why he was the champion last year, taking the high ground, not panicking, staying to the very end, had the RPG in his inventory and utilized those plays perfectly. Now, game 2, just as exciting as game 1. Like we were talking a little bit before, seems as though these guys have kind of settled in. The nerves have calmed
nerves are gone
down. We have one more game to play. I can't wait to check out the standings to see where Mr. Fresh Asian is now going to be placing in terms of points for his team, but that was definitely the best victory royale I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, very impressive. Not just, of course, that mechanical play, but the decision-making. This was something we were talking about just before we headed into game number 2. The decisions that he had to make. Look, you can't just do that out of nothing. You have to play a lot of Fortnite to be able to realize what the best play in that situation is.
Right, and unfortunately for him, he was playing solo, so the pressure was on him a little bit, but, you know, Mr. Fresh Asian isn't somebody to get rattled, to panic in those types of situations. He's very low-key, very under the radar, and really just concentrated, hunkered down, and did what he had to do. We can see a couple of plays coming out of Saleya here, takes down Vinny just in sweaty stands, and again, looking at Mr. Fresh Asian's gameplay here, he was fighting in the storm. Now, this was very interesting for them. We were a little bit uncertain what the plays were going to be. They were fighting in the storm for quite some time, wondering if they were going to make it out. We can see Blackouts here taking out Jordan, one of the X2 twins, getting those eliminations. All of these were so instrumental in these teams, in their placements, in their points. Like I said, we're going to have to see how this leaderboard is so far stacking up.
Yeah, after 2 matches, obviously that leaderboard is really going to change up We'll see whether Fresh's team is going to be able to find themselves up near the top. They'll certainly be doing pretty well. Will they be number one? I'm not so sure. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it really is. We talked about play styles before, and you can have a strategy coming into a match as your trio, but sometimes as the game progresses, you need to change it up. We saw, I think, Muselk in there in the water fishing at one point, but look, it's easy to laugh at that, but the reality was he was playing for position. He was trying to last in the game as long as he possibly could.
Yeah, he was playing for placement with that for sure. There were so many plays with the RPG coming out of today's games. I love to see it. The explodes, always something exciting to watch. We do see some plays coming here out of Alex Ace, taking people out before he gets knocked himself. Symmetrical, just lasering people with those headshots. And again, the final play there coming out of Mr. Fresh Asian with the celebration, his team getting hugs all around. That's what you like to see. Everyone cheering each other on, all the content creators, all the pros really coming together to make this event just such a memorable experience.
It's so great to see, and it's great for a guy like Fresh who we know plays so much Fortnite. This kid has an absolutely incredible work ethic. I heard he said like 1 day off in the last 12 months or something like that. And he plays all the time. He streams a lot. He makes a ton of content, and he puts the work in. Let's go have a chat to the real Mr. Fresh Asian right now.
Guys, the man of the moment, Mr. Fresh Asian right here. Make some noise, ladies and gentlemen. How was that reaction in Margaret Court Arena? Huge crowd. You get the win. How was that for you?
It felt great. It was kind of the same as last year. Like when I got that dub, just that energy. It's great.
Of course, you won here last year. We've got Enshui, Lachlan. We're going to talk to them in a moment. But was there pressure coming in? Obviously, the expectation is super high. Did you feel it?
If I'm being honest, not really. I just come play. Just play it.
What a gamer, the boys are saying. What a gamer. You just keep it low, chilled.
Epic gamer. It's an epic gamer.
Epic gamer. Nicely done. Hey, let's just chat with Lachlan for a moment as well. Your brother got the win in game one. I mean, we're back, man. We're back.
I mean, the difference is he did something last game. I didn't really do much that game. I kind of did a tarp out, and then I took full damage and died. Fresh was down to 20 HP, and he just carried it with floppers. You love to see it.
And Enshui, I mean, we didn't carry it all the way through to the end, but you're a team. How did your man get it done?
It's Fresh. It's Fresh. That's all you need to know.
That's it. That's it.
He can do anything.
He can do anything. Can he do anything, ladies and gentlemen? I think he can. All right, game three, not far away. Nicely done.
It's all about Fresh here at Margaret Court Arena and the Australian Open Summer Smash. Very exciting. We'll see whether Enshui comes out with a bit of a song or something about Fresh later on. I think there's some lyrics there, to be perfectly honest. There's a lot to talk about. You could totally make a tune about it.
It's all about Fresh. I mean, he said it right there. That's the title there. It's all about Fresh. I mean, but seriously, that was all about Fresh. We talked to him earlier. Saw if he was going to struggle against those pros. He closed it out against one of the best North American pros in the region. He was on low ground when we went away from him on, I think, 20 health. We panned back 30 seconds later. He's got 150 health and 2 extra eliminations and then closes it out. That was insane.
It's absolutely incredible. Now, we can go and look at our results after match number 2. We'll throw up on the screen where our standings currently sit. So after 2 games of play, we can come through here. We'll see Zayt up on top. So that's an interesting one, most certainly. 21 points, 11 elims, 32 total points. We work our way through this one. Chances, who obviously did well in game number 1, he and his team going to be sitting in there at second at the moment. What are the big takeaways from you? Even though Mr. Fresh Asian, Lachlan and Enshui did well that game, they didn't necessarily get the elims they needed. No. And game number 1 won't put them on top right now.
Yeah, no, and I mean, we saw there Luda managing to solo clutch that out. He just got into top 12 for extra placement points, and that's what's kept him above that threshold from 3rd into 2nd. So a very good performance there. But yeah, Fresh's team had a struggle in the first game. They're playing a lot more aggressive, right? They're the team we've watched both games take a very early trio fight.
Yeah, and as we head towards our second page of our Pro-Am leaderboard, Epic Wow, Magma and Bakerball up on 14 points. The same with Kokonakis, Jalmok and Babs there as well. And you can see some of these teams come up with very similar points, but getting there in a different fashion. Obviously, Dracon's Dra and Ken Kavrak there coming through. All about the elims for them. Not bad.
Yeah, wow.
Not bad at all. You don't have to win. right?
No, yeah, if you get a decent amount of eliminations.
Coming through with a carry on the elims, I'm not 100% sure. All the way through to 20th there. So a lot of teams still on the board, starting to make their way through as we roll through to the end of our 30 teams. You can see almost all of the teams with points on the board.
I mean, yeah, and you can't really cast it right now. We saw some interesting strategies coming out there from Jinx and Lannon's team. The best mates conga line, that was an interesting one. So, I mean, we're having some fun out here as well. At the same time, you cannot predict what's going to go into this third game right now. You never know. Yeah,
we're having fun and we're doing it for a good cause. Our charity Pro-Am at the AO Summer Smash, $100,000 today going out to charities depending on who picks up the prizes. We've seen, of course, a lot of choices for bushfire-related charities. You can totally understand that one.
Yeah.
A lot of good choices no matter who comes out on top, but the pressure is starting to mount. We are 2 matches in, not long remains, and look, it really is starting to become do or die. You need to take your chances now.
Yeah, that's why normally in competitive Fortnite, if you haven't watched it too much before, the final game or the final games usually gets pretty scrappy. If you're coming 25th right now, the only way you're going to get that extra money is in that top 10 bracket. You have to go big or go home. So you see some big elimination games come out or just a lot of aggression. So you see a lot of people being the favorites going into those final games. They run into one of those players who's really trying to do or die, and then it goes against them.
What are the big surprises for you so far? Now we've had a chance to see the Aussies and the guys and girls from overseas going head-to-head. The guys from the OC region actually going pretty well up against some of the best from around the world.
I mean, honestly, I'm surprised at how well everyone is doing. Like, I'm surprised at how many players are surviving until these end games and putting on what is, in its own right, a competitive spectacle. Like, these are very, very good teams. I'm so shocked that these pro players who maybe haven't played with these people ever before are keeping them with them, and the teamwork is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely right. If you went and you watched a charity footy match or a charity tennis match, you might expect for the fairly, of course, the quality maybe not to be up to par. But today, what we've seen has been some very good Fortnite, and clearly some of these celebs are dark horses grinding away day and night in the background. Who knew they were this very good?
Yeah, definitely. Or some of the pro players showing their communication skills. We talked earlier, this is a sport, right? So as the leader, as the captain of the team, some of them are showing those very normal skills of being able to communicate with someone you haven't dealt with before, build some team like camaraderie, and then take it to the very end. It's incredible to try and not only do what you're doing, but then communicate it to other players who don't know what's going on. It's insane.
We're having a pretty good time here at the AO Summer Smash featuring Fortnite. We're 2 matches in. The good news is that we still have 2 matches remaining, not 1, but 2. We've got 1 extra, so we're guaranteed to have a good time now. 2 extra matches of Fortnite. If in the first match, for whatever reason, you weren't at your peak, you weren't performing, the pressure got to you. Maybe we saw that with Mr. Fresh Asian game number 1. He now has an extra match to get into it, and now that some of these guys and girls really are showing their form, for me, match 2 was even better than match number 1. With 2 games remaining, not just 1, that puts a few thoughts in the mind.
Yeah, it changes things. Like I said, coming into those final games, that gives you a little bit more time, but maybe you gave up, right? You got to this point, you're like, look, I don't think I have a chance in this 3rd game, and now you're like, ooh, we have 4 games, okay. Might be able to bring it back in the 4th one.
Yeah, that's what you're looking for. Some of those teams not getting any points so far, they still have an opportunity to make it into the prize money for their charity of choice. 2 good matches, a couple of top 10s might be enough to get you there. If you get the elims, maybe have a victory royale, come top 5, something like that. Every team still has a shot at getting some cash for their charity, which is super important. The options is still there. It is just down to our players.
Definitely, and like you saw there, Zayt showing insane consistency both games. That's what's put him on top. You see him go down at the very start of this game. They drop on a team that's already dropping somewhere. They all go down instantly, and all of a sudden things are very, very different.
We're getting ever closer to match number 3 here. It's been a pretty cool day so far. We've got the women's finals tonight here in the tennis in Rod Laver, and then tomorrow the men's finals. Look, the Australian Open for me has been pretty exciting. I'm a big sports fan in general. I love watching esports. I love watching traditional sports, and the Australian Open is a massive part of that. Got to see some tennis last night in the semi-final. That was pretty incredible. And for me, the big takeaway is when you get to watch some of this stuff in person, it's always better than you thought it would be, right? The tennis in person is awesome. At esports stages, when we see all the lights, the glitz, the glamour, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is my first time here. I watched it from home last time and it looked pretty exceptional, but being here, being amongst it, is super exciting. Again, we have beautiful displays around the scene here. You can see your favorite player's health, shield, what's going on. Again, it's phenomenal. You hear the crowd get involved, right? They didn't like that play on Laserbeam last game. They let us know. That definitely didn't go unheard.
Look, it's a great way to win some fans, maybe lose some fans as well if you take down a Laserbeam too many times.
Yeah.
The Laserbeam fans won't be that keen, but it's a good way to make a name for yourself for sure. With 2 games remaining, who are we looking out for here? Firstly, who are we looking like maybe might be able to take this away, and who, if they really put their mind to it and bring it back, might be able to get it across the line?
I mean, at the same time, as this goes on, they're building that team camaraderie, right? So they might see some teams that struggle in the first 2 games all of a sudden dominate. I'm looking at Luda and Chancellor's team. They're looking very strong. They've got 2 very good players. So far, it's the only team we've seen make it into that final, like 5 or 10 players with a content creator and a pro. We're seeing a lot of the pros make it to the end. We're not seeing a lot of other players keep up, and Chancellor's definitely one of those players that's able to keep up, and he proved that.
For me, of course, we had Mitch Robinson. We've spoken about him so many times. He's there with Mal and Slayer. For me, I want to see what they can do. Look, I'm not going to say they're underperforming.
No.
That wouldn't be fair. But they definitely have an opportunity to come out on top.
Definitely, and I mean, Zayd's team right now showing insane consistency, especially from Zayd. If you don't follow competitive Fortnite, that is what Zayd's known for. He's one of the best in the world. He performs at almost every tournament he goes to. I don't think he'll be feeling any nerves right now, short of a bit of bad luck, maybe a team around them changing their game plan. He clearly has a game plan that's working, so unless someone disrupts that, I think he's going to go through with the win.
Yeah, and of course, we're getting to know where everyone's sort of dropping in a